Hi guys, welcome back to my channel for yet another video. As promised, this video will be up on Wednesday. Today's Tuesday. I just got home from work, as you can see, which is why I look so professional. And I am trying to stick to my posting schedule, so this will be up tomorrow on Wednesday. And as you can see from the title, this is going to be all about how to deal with anxiety while you are studying for the Lsat. And this is a question that I actually got on Instagram from a follower. I asked you guys what type of topics you want me to cover, and someone asked me this. I also got a DM a while back from a follower asking me how I dealt with anxiety the day of my test and how I kind of stayed focused, and if I got nervous, like what were my tips and tricks. So everything of that nature is going to be covered in this video. So if you are interested in watching, stay tuned. Okay guys, so this is a big topic. I'm not an expert on this topic. I will try to give you general tips and tricks that I have gotten from people who have taken the LSAT, people who are in school, people who have taken the exam, and also attorneys. So that way you know that it's coming from an actual source who has done this before, and not just me. And then I will share with you guys a little bit about my experience and kind of how I have been dealing with it. So hopefully that is useful for you guys. And if you have any questions, obviously shoot me a DM or leave it down below in the comments, and I love to answer you guys. So first things first is your anxiety is normal. This is a completely new area of academia that you are entering that you have no prior experience in. If you are a first-year law student, you should not feel like you need to know things. You should not be feeling stupid if you don't know something, or if you have a question or you're not getting something right away, because that is completely normal. Obviously, there would be no point in doing this if you already knew the law and knew how to accomplish the LSAT. So your anxiety is normal and you are not alone. I promise you, you are not alone ever. And number two, as I mentioned, is focusing on your journey and on your timeline, as opposed to getting distracted by where your friends are in the process or by where colleagues or peers are in the process. I think is really important, because like a lot of things in our generation right now with social media and Instagram and Twitter and all of these things, people can kind of share, really hyper share, and kind of put expectations out there in society that like things can be accomplished like that, when in reality there's a lot of work that goes into something like this. So remember your why, remember why you're doing this, and actually having a plan, I think, is really helpful to minimize anxiety, and understanding the time frame that you have, and understanding that your journey is going to look different than the person next to you, and that that is okay. I'd like to remind people that there are people in law school who are very much older than us. For some people, this is their second career. I've heard stories of people who are, veterans of the military and decided, you know what, I want to be a lawyer, and went on to pursue a JD after serving in the military. So keep in mind that, everyone's journey looks different. So that's really important. Now that we have that out of the way, let's talk, logistics and how to kind of stay motivated and not be overwhelmed while you're studying. So a big part of this is really, this goes for those people who are self-studying out there, which I did the first time around. You have to plan, you guys. Plan, plan, okay? You really have to spend a lot of time memorizing the underlying patterns of this exam. And one thing that I have noticed in my almost year of studying now for this exam is that the longer I have spent on this exam and the longer that I have practiced, the more in tune my brain is to catching the patterns in the questions. And that goes for all sections. So when I first started studying for the exam, it was like learning a new language for me, and rightfully so, because I had never seen any of this stuff before. But now that I have been exposed to it for such a long time and I am constantly practicing, it's almost like my brain can kind of pick up those underlying patterns, and it's enabling me to get through the questions quicker. And that's for logic reasoning, for logic games, and for reading comprehension. Practice, 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 you guys. The more comfortable you get with this material and the more comfortable your brain gets with recognizing these patterns, the more comfortable you will feel the day of the exam and the less anxiety you will feel. Obviously, you will feel a little bit of anxiety, especially if, there are test questions that are thrown in there. We all know that Lsat administrators love to throw in a test section in there where they are testing new question formats and new question stems. And unfortunately, that's just something that we have to deal with, and we kind of have to prepare for that. Understanding the format of the Lsat. If you walk into the exam and you have no idea what to expect, you will be shocked. And you will have wasted an entire day because you will fail the exam, period. You need to understand how the exam is set up. You need to understand how the exam is scored. You need to understand how many sections there are, what's the timing for the sections, and the different strategies that will help you get a better score for each section. And those are all things that you do while you're studying, and basically every single book and study aid that I have read gives the exact same tips on how to optimize your score for sections. So I'm not going to get into that, but just know that there are strategies that will help you, and having those as a tool in your back pocket will really help you kind of minimize that anxiety. I would also say that getting into a daily routine is very helpful. A lot of this is really under the umbrella of planning, but for me, I have noticed that getting into a routine with my job, with my workout, with YouTube, and all of those things has really helped me kind of time manage and set aside time for studying. So that is, try, if you are not working and you are just outside studying, try and wake up at the same time every day, and get your studying done earlier in the day as opposed to late at night, because you will probably be more productive during the day than you will be at night. So get up, every day, do the same thing. Drink your coffee, meditate if you meditate, pray if you pray, read a book if you like to read, walk your dog if that's what you do, then come back and get to studying. And do that every day until your exam. And you will notice that you will feel less anxious about the exam. But it's super important to make a schedule for yourself, understand when you want to apply to law school, understand the application cycle, when your deadlines are, when the deadlines are to register for the LSAT, and kind of print out a calendar for yourself and write all of those things down. Put in all of the hard timelines and deadlines that you have to meet, and then plan your study schedule accordingly. If you are like me and you work, then try and get acclimated to your job first, and then see how you are feeling and see if it's feasible for you to work to study after work, or if it's going to have to be shifted to the weekend. And if it's going to have to be shifted to the weekend, then you're going to have to spend more hours during your weekend studying. So planning is key, you guys, to minimizing anxiety and sticking to your study schedule as well. If you, obviously if you fall off one day or you want to take a break one day, that's not something to kill yourself over. It's not something to beat yourself up over. It's not that serious. However, try and stick to your study schedule as much as humanly possible, because that will really help you not only feel better the day of your test, but it also trains you to get into a rhythm of a schedule, which is kind of important when you want to be a lawyer. You have to learn how to time manage. You have to learn how to get a lot of work done in sometimes a very short amount of time. So this is kind of, think of it as preparation, as a dry run for when you are actually in school and have to juggle all of these different things and activities. That has been a very helpful thing for me. I kind of think of it as, well, this is practice for when I'm actually in school. I need to learn how to juggle, you know, work and an internship and my schoolwork and all of those things. So that's how I like to think of it. I'm not really going in a list of tips. I'm kind of just talking as they come along. So sorry if it's a little mumbo jumbo, but I'm doing my best. So yes, planning and having a physical calendar, whether you want to use an agenda or you want to print out a calendar from your computer, whatever floats your boat. I just think that it's really helpful to have it visually there so that you can see your progress every single day and see what you've accomplished. Now, for those of you who are not self-studying and are using a tutor or a system, this might not apply to you because you already have a built-in person that is giving you homework and giving you, you are meeting with this person. So it doesn't really apply to you to have a study schedule, unless of course you want to do things on the weekend or when you want to do things that, aside from your tutor. For those of you like me who are doing an online course where it's kind of like virtual tutor, I still suggest following the syllabus to the T, because there is a method to the madness. There's a reason why they set it up the way they set it up. And in addition to following my syllabus, I do have a separate calendar that I printed off of my computer where I have mapped out, I've only printed the months that I have to study until the day I'm taking the test. And within that calendar, I have, deadlines for the Lsat registration. I have, deadlines for assignments and things of that nature. And then obviously in my calendar, I have hard deadlines for school registration deadlines and, things that need to be submitted, supplemental materials if they have to be submitted. Essentially what I'm trying to tell you guys is try and get all of this information that you kind of have to learn in order to start applying to law school. Try and get it down on a piece of paper or on a document or on a Google Drive or on a Word document. Try and get it out of your brain and onto a hard copy of something so that you know that it's there, you know that you can come back to it, you know that your phone is going to alert you of a deadline or a registration thing, whatever. So then that way you can focus on Lsat studying. And I really think that that is very useful. Now, another tip that I have for minimizing anxiety while you're studying for the Lsat is try and find enjoyment in little things, you guys. Try and read a book that you like. Try and, when you're taking a break, watch a little Netflix movie, watch an episode of your favorite show, have some ice cream, chat with your friends, hang out with your friends. Do not burn yourself out. Do not try and do 3 months of work in a week because you will burn yourself out and then you will be too tired and you will essentially hate studying and you won't be motivated to do it anymore. So, again, this kind of goes back to planning. If you plan it out correctly, and do a little bit every single night and every single day, you will chip away at it and it won't seem so daunting and overwhelming. That being said, I also think it's very important to practice. Practice. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a little bit. But a really big part of this exam, and the reason why this exam is so, I think, daunting for a lot of people, including your girl, is because you really have to spend a very long time memorizing the underlying patterns of this exam. Also, I just want to remind you guys that the Lsat has a new format. Starting in July, the Lsat will no longer be a paper exam. It'll be all digital. And by September, it'll be fully digital for administration everywhere. So please make sure that you go to lsac.org and take the digital Lsat tutorial that walks you through, what the exam looks like on the iPad and how you are going to be, answering questions and how you can highlight and how you can cross out and all of those things. Again, you will probably have to practice the digital Lsat format multiple times in order to be comfortable with it. And I believe that there is a free practice test on lsat.org in digital format. So that's really great that they were able to do that. So make sure you do that because there will no longer be any paper exams starting in July 2019. So another thing that we have to worry about, but I'm sure we will all be fine. So now for the day of the test, I was very anxious the day of the test. Not at the beginning. I was pretty fine during the first 3 sections. And after we had the 15-minute break, I was a nervous wreck because part of it, I think, was because during the break, I kept hearing the students talking about, how they were feeling. Obviously, they weren't talking about the exam and the substantive issues of the exam, but they were just like, talking about, oh, I feel great, I feel amazing, or I feel horrible, I want to cry, I'm leaving. A tip that I actually gave the person who DM'd me through DM was, when you are entering your exam center, try and you can't have electronics, so you won't be able to put in headphones, but try and not focus on the side conversations that are happening. Try and stay in a mental zone. What I am going to do this time around is I'm going to bring some little practice problems to do while I'm waiting to be admitted into the exam center, so that way I'm focused on something other than what's going on around me. And I think that just helps because you don't really want their energy. You want to remain as stable and as calm as possible, and you want to stay in your little bubble that day. So you don't really want to be worried about other people's emotions. As horrible as that kind of sounds, this is your day to be selfish, and this is your day to focus, get your goal done, and go home and breathe. So don't worry about other people. Don't feel like you have to share your experience. Don't feel like you have to have a kumbaya that day. If you want to chat after, be by all means, but I really, really, really would refrain from having conversations in the morning while you're waiting to be admitted into your exam center, just because it can really be anxiety inducing, you guys. I mean, the conversations that I heard were just horror stories, like people hadn't slept in 4 days and like just crazy stuff. So it kind of begins to make you feel like, oh, was I sleeping too much? Should I have been studying for 8 hours in a day? Like, clearly not, because those people were sleep deprived, and that's just not healthy. So refrain from talking to people. Bring enough snacks. Bring water, you guys. Water is so important. So many people forgot water the day I took my exam, and they were literally dying because there was no vending machines on the floor that we were on. So bring your water. Also, try and have a very concrete plan of how that day is going to go for you. Travel to your test center a week before to make sure that you know how you're going to get there, that you know your route. Have the person who is going to hold your, stuff that cannot go into the exam center with you. Have them chill around the area, shop a little bit, whatever. For me, I had my best friend and her boyfriend come with me. They held my purse and they just went around downtown Manhattan and they went shopping and had so much fun that day. Make sure you have enough pens and pencil, no pens, but pencils and erasers, and double check, double check, triple check, quadruple check the requirements on your admissions ticket to make sure that you are not bringing in anything that is not eligible and that will get you disqualified from taking the exam. In short, you guys, try and get all of these little details and minutia ironed out weeks ahead of your exam, so that all you have to focus on is you and your LSAT. That is all you want to be focused on. So do your best to kind of iron out these details and plan out ahead of time. If you work, make sure that you take that PTO day if you get paid time off, which I think is crazy that not everybody gets paid time off in America, but Anyways, make sure that you take that day off and that you notify your employer with enough time that you will not be there because you will be taking the LSAT. Make sure all your documentation is in order. And aside from that, you guys, remind yourself that you have accomplished a lot. Remind yourself that you have sacrificed a lot, that this is for a purpose. There is an end goal here. Remember your why. And, remember that you're not alone. You can always reach out to people, reach out to the people who love you if you are dealing with anxiety. If you have moments of feeling down or you feel like, why am I doing this? This is so hard. I don't want to do this. I can just get a job. Talk to the people around you, talk to your mentors, talk to your colleagues if they're in the same area. Reach out to this community here. I reach out to so many YouTubers all the time, and they have so much knowledge and wisdom to impart, and truly I get so much motivation from watching them chase after their dream and accomplish it. So don't be afraid to reach out to people that you see on here on this platform who are doing it and who are being successful at it, because odds are they will be more than happy to give you some advice, tips, and tricks. And please don't ever feel that you can't reach out to me. I love to answer DMs. I love to answer comments and questions. I do not claim to be an expert on any of this. I am literally learning and sharing with you guys as I go along, and I hope that it's useful for you guys. I hope that today's video was useful for you guys. If there's something that I missed or something that you guys want to know more about, let me know down below in the comments or shoot me a DM. So yeah, until next time, guys, thank you so much. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and share this video with family and friends. Bye.